West War Room Rivals is sponsored by Emporia State Federal Credit Union. Learn more at esfcu.com. Text or call the number 620-342-2336 to get started today. ESFCU is the Shovix banking of choice, federally insured by the NCUA. This episode of West War Room Rivals is brought to you by JBW Solutions Industrial Safety Services, your remote safety partner no matter where work takes you. From the job site to the office, JBW Solutions brings OSHA 10 and 30 training, plus a full lineup of compliance services straight to your screen. Whether you're a small crew or a major operation, they make safety simple, accessible, and effective. Visit jbwsolutionsllc.com to learn more today and stay compliant wherever you are. West War Room Rivals is sponsored by Field Ops. Kansas sports fields just got an upgrade with Field Ops. Looking to reserve top quality sports fields in Kansas? Whether you're organizing youth tournaments, adult leagues, or weekend pickup games, Field Ops is your go-to platform for discovering and booking the best athletic fields across the state. Instant online reservations, detailed field info such as locations, amenities, and photos. Field Ops is also trusted by coaches, organizers, and athletes. From Wichita to Overland Park, Field Ops has got you covered with real-time availability and streamlined scheduling. Get in the game at gofieldops.com/Kansas-KS. That's gofieldops.com/Kansas-KS.
All right, and welcome in to another episode of West War Room Rivals. I am Corey. I am your host here tonight. Brought the boys with us. Let's go ahead and start with the roll call. Go.
All right, I am Austin. I'm also a co-host representing Chiefs.
Cody.
I'm Cody, representing Raider Nation.
Natty.
And I am Matt, representing the Broncos.
All right, guys, we got a very special guest with us tonight. He's actually a really good friend of the Shovix Sports Show. He's been on our show. We went on his show around draft time. We're really super excited to have him on to talk some Commanders football. It is Couch Coach Live. Chris, welcome into the studio.
Afternoon, fellas. How y'all doing?
Good. Hey, I do
man.
want to point out before we dive in, I was on your show around draft time, and I do remember me correctly predicting that the Jacksonville Jaguars would trade up to draft Travis Hunter. Do you remember that?
You did. You did. Absolutely.
I was kind of like, that's kind of my one bright moment of actually doing a podcast. Like, I say a lot of weird and crazy stuff and crazy takes, and then that happened, and I messaged you immediately. I was like, dude, did you just see, like, what the hell? So
it just happened, right?
It did. So we thank you for coming on, giving us some of your time tonight. I know we're really excited. Roster cuts were made today. We're a week away from the season starting, so I really do want to dive into what Washington's doing. Obviously, they were kind of America's sweetheart last year and the run that they were able to go on. Give us a little rundown of how preseason looked, and did anything kind of stand out to you player-wise?
Well, preseason was a little abysmal, 0-3, but I mean, there was some semblance of hope, obviously, in that Monday Night Football game against Cincinnati in that first drive, where pretty much it was that first offense where you had the jet sweep by Debo. So you looked at that. That was a great play. Then also you seen the emergence of our next running back coming up is Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, a.k.a. we call him Bill around here. What he has done, obviously, that pretty much ushered in essentially the move for Brian Robinson Jr. to go to San Francisco via trade. There was some semblance. I guess you can think about as far as Josh Johnson. He was able to become QB3, and now Sam Hartman pretty much was released, but probably more likely to be in the practice squad. You did kind of see some depth issues in certain areas, but it's just preseason. Not gonna nitpick, because last time we was undefeated, 3-0 in the preseason. We only won 4 games, and that was 2 years ago. So I will take an 0-3 start for the preseason to have a meaningful season for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, The Commanders, last year they, like my brother said, kind of came on by storm, right? I think a lot of us were, Daniels fans, but you don't usually come in hitting stride like that. But I think another person I mentioned, I'll toot my own horn like my brother did, where I said one of the steals and better picks of the draft was going to be Sandra Still. So I'm curious on how do you feel about him? I know it was 2 years ago, but still, I mentioned it on a show with me and my brother. But I want to get your viewpoint on kind of the defensive side, right? We know what you're going to get offensively, but I want to hear what you're expecting defensively from the Commanders this year.
Okay. When I look at and we'll start off like with Mikey. I like Mikey. Mikey's one of those ones where he's going to be a guy that's going to be here for a long period of time. He will have a CL chest one of these days. He's a Michigan man. I like those Michigan guys, even though despite everybody might have a little issue with the recruitment and everything that happened, all that, but they are great guys that came out of the organization and make an impact in the NFL, and he's one of those ones as well. He's going to be a leader for this team. I think defensively, they got a little bit better. I think they got some solid pieces, and I think that's what I like about Adam Peters. He didn't necessarily break the bank like in previous administrations where we would go for the sexy D tackle or linebacker or whatever and pay them a exorbitant amount of money. But you look at kind of the sort of moves that he brought in, bringing in Javon Kinlaw. I definitely think he'll help that interior, which I think we need, especially for run defense purposes. I think he can definitely potentially help in that gap as well. Bringing in Von Miller, and I told people, and that's one thing about our fan base, they're thinking they're getting Von Miller from 2015 Super Bowl MVP. Like, that's not going to happen. So Matt, obviously, you remember that. That Von Miller, but you're not going to get that Von Miller here. You're going to get a solid guy, a leader in this locker room. You'll see his impact not on the stat sheet, but you'll see it if you're watching on the naked eye. So you look at some of those additions, and then also defensively on the defensive backfield. I think bringing in, obviously now you have a full year of Marshawn Lattimore, so I definitely think that's going to help. Hopefully, cooler heads will prevail, especially when we play fifth, right at the tail end of the season or in other matchups when we have wide receivers. So you look at that. You look at even bringing in the rookie, the kid from Ole Miss, Trey Amos. I think he'll definitely help on there as well. Still love Quan Martin, what he's doing. He shows a semblance in his 2 years that he can play in this league. I really, really like what they did defensively. They didn't break the bank, but they still somewhat holes. There's still some issue potentially on this defense, but I definitely think they have improved.
Yeah, I think they brought in right now on paper, it seems like they have a nice mixture of veterans and youth, right? Not too young, but not too experienced and old and slow. So, you still have your man Bobby, all reliable, holding down forts. So, yeah, I think I keep wanting to call them Redskins. The Commanders, I think they're actually going to have a sneaky good defense this year. And I think it's going to get overlooked by Jaden Daniels in the offense a little bit, right? Like, that's the exciting part. They should get talked about. But I still think watch out for that defense because it's still a Dan Quinn team. Like, they're going to bring it. So I just want to make sure we get defense some love for the Commanders because I believe we're going to have a lot of offense and Jaden Daniels talk about them. So I want to get some defensive love in.
Absolutely.
So moving on to the offensive side of the ball, obviously the Commanders made a lot of big offensive acquisitions. Like first off, getting Tunsil as tackle is huge to protect Jaden Daniels, and then acquiring Deebo Samuel. So I'm curious from your perspective, looking at the offensive side, now that there's a year of film on Jaden Daniels, he's also obviously second year with Cliff Kingsbury. Where do you see this offense going in the new season upcoming? And how do you think it stacks against the rest of the teams in the NFC East?
I think the Commanders will have probably one of the best offenses in the league. And I don't necessarily, I know a lot of people thinking themselves they're going to have somewhat of a sophomore slump, but I think Jaden Daniels is like no other. Like as far as he's like an actual a student of the game. I know obviously people think about the parallel from 2012, rookie of the year in 2012 to Jaden Daniels, which is two totally different individuals. I think he's just a guy that's just straight focused, and there might be some tad of a drop off, but the good thing about it is now he has a newly re-signed Terry McLaurin, which definitely going to help him in that offense. And like you said, bringing in Deebo Samuels, like I talked about in the in that preseason game against Cincinnati, you have those RPO type of moments where you can get like jet sweeps from a Deebo Samuel. He can be that kind of creative yet again in this offense, and then it just lends it to itself. And then getting that Laramie Tunsil, getting that prize left tackle that you need. And I think, especially in this environment, I think he'll be fine. But I definitely think this offense has definitely improved. I don't think they were fifth in the last year. I think they'll either be right at top 5 or pretty much at least in the top 10 offensively. But I say top 5 is I think where they will be for sure.
Do you think they'll have a similar offensive explosion like Detroit had last season?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Especially with the acquisition of Deebo. And then even we talk about other guys on this team too. I mean, you look at I think Jalen Lane, potentially the rookie out of Virginia Tech. If he gets an opportunity, I really want to see like what Luke McCaffrey. Obviously, he was one of the ones I was looking at like at 3-4 o'clock, like, oh, please make it. But he did make the team because he was kind of a little, pretty much on the fringe. But I definitely like it. I think, and I think what's going to be the big thing is once Sam Cosmi come back, I think that's where I think everything can kind of come to. But I still think they still got that makeshift lineup with Brandon Coleman. So I think for the most part, in my personal opinion, you'll still see some explosive plays, especially now with re-signing Terry. And I think the sky's the limit for this offense.
So, Chris, my question for you, kind of going back to the defensive side of the ball, I know we talked about it a little bit. Washington, I felt they were very underrated in their secondary, but ESPN has them, in the top 3, and they did very well in their secondary. But then on the opposite end of the spectrum, I mean, your pass rush was near the bottom. So do you think, with the addition of, I think they got Kane Madrano, the linebacker out of UCLA, who's kind of a Swiss Army knife because he can blitz and he can drop back in coverage. So you think the addition of that kind of talent, you think they're going to balance out now? Is there improvement there in the pass rush, or you think it's going to kind of stay the same and maybe get better as the season goes along?
It's probably going to be one of those where it's going to be kind of Dr. Jekyll, Miss Hyde type situation where in one stimulus you might look at them and like, yeah, they get pressure. The person who I really thought was going to be a key contributor last year in a sense, as far as from a sack standpoint, was Dorrance Armstrong, because obviously he came with Joe Witt Jr. from Dallas. I think at the time, I think he had like 7 or 8 sacks, and he only was like in 42% of their possessions. So I definitely thought he was going to definitely get there. It's like you said, I think what I find interesting about that is like it really wasn't a splash per se, like as far as someone off the edge that they could have bought in. Obviously, you bring in like Ken Law and Von Miller. I definitely think they will help contribute. Because obviously I think I've come from the age of not the age, but come up when I think of back then when we had Chase Young and Montez Sweat, where we had bosses on both edges, like kind of the bookend in a sense. But they're going to be kind of it's gonna remind me of some games I think they will get to the quarterback, but it's not going to be like where we're going to lead the league in sacks. We're probably going to be like maybe like mid-tier, maybe like 16, 17 as far as sacks. But it'll be like a situation, and not to kind of kind of sadden the mood, but almost kind of like what Philly did in the Super Bowl, where you never necessarily didn't see them essentially being like this prolific, like sack team compared to the time when they went to Super Bowl 2 years ago. But I definitely think this will be a team that on any given day you can see them maybe having like 5 or 6 sacks, and then one game they don't have anything. So it's going to probably middle of the pack, average at best, probably, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. Just because, again, you look at the pass rush there, they accumulated 43 sacks last season. And I do think they're probably going to build off of that, maybe find themselves in the middle of the pack. Do you think the linebacker core now is going to be, again, with adding that young talent there and adding the veteran Von Miller there, do you think they're going to be a little bit more prolific? You think that's going to kind of boost them a little bit?
All right, can you read the question? See.
Oh, all right. Can you hear me?
Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, cool. No, so I was my question was, you guys had 43 sacks last year and whatnot, and I do agree with you. I think you guys are going to build off of that. I think you're going to end up probably in the middle of the pack as far as the pass rush goes. Do you think having Kane Medrano and Von Miller, that combination, that youth, and then that mentor right there, do you think that's going to have a little bit more of an effect on the pass rush in that aspect?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one thing, and I think one thing too, we talked about as far as having Von Miller, having that guy as far as when it comes to having that championship level type of experience, almost similar to bringing in the Bobby Wagner. Like these guys bring that type of pedigree. So of course they're going to, if you are a wise man, you will learn from these guys and elevate your game. And I think that's one of the reasons why like Von Miller is here. Because you think to yourself, even though this team did make it to the NFC Championship game, but there's still another level to that. So that's the beauty thing about bringing in that type of leadership. You have to bring in those type of guys, and those guys are listening. And it's one of the things where these are just average Joes. Like when they're gonna, pun intended, they're gonna command the room, and it's well needed.
Yeah, I think you're actually spot on. Kind of the under the radar signing of Kinlaw. I think how he performs is really going to dictate how well the pass rush does. When you think about how it's gone the last few years, some of these prolific sack teams are ones who get it up the middle. Eagles have always had a pretty good pass rush going back to like Fletcher Cox, but it kind of went to another level when they got Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, Carter. It went to a different level. So I think the under the radar signing of Kinlaw, like that could be a really big impact on their pass rush. I know that, the interior D linemen aren't sexy, and that's what no one thinks of. And they may not get the sacks, but they're the ones generating pressure. They're the ones getting through, making the quarterback get off his spot. So I know the addition of Von Miller and the championships he brings and all that's nice, but I still think a lot of it's going to depend on Kinlaw and the rest of the guys up the middle to generate a lot of pass rush.
So let's dive in before we get into like divisional stuff. Was there any roster cuts today that were made that kind of surprised you as far as what the Commanders ended up on their 53-man?
Not far as from an X and O standpoint, but more so kind of not sentimental, more so of like, how when it comes with teams, you develop an emotional connection.
Always.
So I definitely thought, and these guys I knew probably more likely weren't going to make the squad, but like I feel for a guy like a Keelan Farrell. He's from my area. He was obviously the 4th round. Cody, you know who Keelan is. Unfortunately,
I'm well aware of who he is. Yeah.
So local guy from my area. So right. So a local guy from my area. So said to kind of it's like kind of I figured he won't gonna make the team, but it does suck to hear that he was cut. And then a guy I really liked, Cole Turner, the tight end. It's kind of one of those things where it's like you get fixated at the personality in the sense. So it's kind of one of those where you look at it and it's like, yeah, you kind of figured this was all, this was going to happen. And I kind of knew Sam Hartman was going to get cut, but he's going to probably be on the squad. His performance Saturday against the Ravens was atrocious. So he get another opportunity to probably be on the practice squad and kind of do his thing. But yeah, that's the thing about the team, especially when you are a fan of it. Sometimes you have to. There's a point where you want to be objective, and then there's a part where you're like you're the fanboy.
So I'm curious with post roster cuts, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more divisional round in a minute. But for your Commanders, is there any weak spots that you wish that they would have addressed that they hadn't, and that you're concerned with heading into the season?
As far as just anything concerned, just as far as just like schedule, team, or anything, just anything.
Yeah,
in general?
just like if there's something on the Commanders that you feel like is a weak spot that they hadn't addressed, what is that? And then how do you foresee that being a problem when we get into the season?
I do think potentially, like we talked about, as far as potentially that pass rush, like because I think when you look at it on the surface, that could potentially be an issue, especially now. And it's going to be really interesting how that's all going to kind of play out. I look at the defense just as a whole too, especially up front. Just kind of see if we're going to be able to get the pressure to these quarterbacks. And now this year, when we're playing so many good quarterbacks off the bat, I mean, you think to yourself, I still consider Russ a good quarterback. You got him, and then you got Jordan Love. And then, after that, we got, obviously we got your guy Chino, Justin Herbert in a few weeks, and Michael Penix. So we have a lot of guys, even in the beginning of the year, that we had to face. And those guys are, for the most part, elusive. So it's kind of one of those where are we going to be able to contain him, that quarterback, versus, like in last year, a lot of good quarterbacks per se. So it's kind of one of those where that could potentially loom for this team. So just doing the pressure, being able to pressure the quarterback. And I think that's going to be the key for us to win games. Obviously we have the capability of being in shootouts, but you don't want to be in a shootout every single week. You want to have situations where, all three phases come together.
Yeah.
Going into divisional, our matchups, our divisions are matching up again this year. And obviously mine and Corey's Broncos got your Commanders on Sunday night. And honestly, I feel like it's probably one of the more anticipated games just because of Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels. They were the top two contenders for Rookie of the Year. And, Daniels, rightfully so, he won that. But as the season was going on, it was Daniels in the upward trend, and Bo Nix was kind of like on a steady, up and down up until the middle of the season. And then you saw Daniels kind of come down a little bit, and Bo Nix was on the rise. And it was just that back and forth near the back end of the season. So what about this matchup between Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels are you looking forward to?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really interesting matchup. Obviously, that's going to be a Sunday night football game, the Sunday after Thanksgiving. You really kind of want to see what these guys are going to be about. I mean, now you think about it, that part of the season is pretty much, we'll be coming off a bye week, and then now you think, pretty much we'll be all in the swing of things. And just want to see how both of these guys match up. And like you said, there were points where, Jaden was high, and then he got a little low, especially in that 3-game losing streak in the middle of November, and then Bo Nix out of nowhere and just had put up some great games. But yeah, this is a great matchup. And then obviously you just look at it just from the standpoint of, we talked about the two quarterbacks. So let's talk about Patrick Surtain, PS2 versus Terry. I think that's gonna be a great matchup, both of those. And I think these teams, it's funny, I always look at Denver and Washington kind of almost parallel. I always thought, before we got our quarterbacks, we were almost similar. Like I think we were all both great teams, but we were missing a quarterback. I mean, obviously this is before you guys got Russ. So I mean, this is I think like 2021 is when we had like Taylor Heineke, and I forgot who y'all had in 2021. But I forgot who y'all had. But
I think it was Drew Lock.
I always said that we were like Denver Post on the East. Drew Lock, yes, Drew Lock, yes. So, yeah, it was Drew Lock. So yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to that matchup. Now, of course, we'll be wearing our Super Bowl era white jersey. So it should be a good time at Northwest.
Yeah, because I definitely want that last matchup back when we were up like 24 points. So I want that last matchup back.
Yeah.
All right, so kind of carrying on.
That was oh my God, that was such a crazy game.
It was.
It was.
So kind of carrying on. So as you know, of course, you're in the NFC East. Of course, we're in the AFC West. Obviously, our divisions are kind of crossing paths right now. So how do you feel like the NFC East and the AFC West match up to one another? Like, which division do you think is today like more superior in the moment than the next?
I would probably say from a top to bottom, it's probably going to be the AFC West. When you look at, you can, as far as from everything, I look at like from the coaching standpoint, I mean, you literally have 4 Hall of Fame-esque type of coaches, obviously with Big Red, Pete Carroll for sure.
Harbaugh.
Denver coach, Sean Payton.
Sean Payton.
And then I think Harbaugh needs to Harbaugh needs to be in that equation too down the road. So I look at it from that standpoint, and then you look at the quarterbacks as well. I mean, you got Patrick Mahomes, you got Justin Herbert. I know a lot of people are on the fence about Justin Herbert, but Justin Herbert is, he's legit. Obviously, you bring in like a guy like a let's see who else. Bo Nix as well in that division, and then also Geno Smith, where someone who, and a lot of people look at, he kind of resurrected career under the tutelage of a Pete Carroll. So now it's almost like a continuation of sort for it. But yeah, I definitely think, and you can really make the case for 3 teams making it in the AFC West in the playoffs. And heck, you might can throw in the Raiders potentially. I mean, you just look at it even from a totality of roster standpoint. I definitely think the AFC West has a hold over the NFC East from a top to bottom perspective, because I think you do have top heavy teams in both divisions, but I think you guys probably more top heavy than we are in the NFC East.
Do you think that's because the Dallas Cowboys are dragging you guys down?
Always.
Well, this circus that is Dallas Cowboys, and of course, they always are good on paper, but then sometimes at moments they fall short of what of their potential. So yeah, I mean, I look at it like that. You don't necessarily have a team necessarily in the NFC in the AFC that are like them. So yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. All right. So sticking with the divisional things, I got to make sure I get my Giants love in here, but just because we're not going to be able, we don't like Philly. We don't talk about Philly, so they're out.
Why not? Why don't you want to talk about Philly?
Nobody likes Philly. Don't act like you like Philly. Let's just be honest.
I don't mind Philly.
I don't mind Philly. I think they're a good team. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just thought most people didn't like Philly, so I guess I need people in my life.
I was a Philly fan this past February, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. You weren't a Philly fan. You were a Chiefs hater. There is a difference.
I don't know what you're talking about, man.
There is a difference. Anyway, go on. Anyway, so we don't like Philly, so they're out. Nobody likes Cowboys. Like, that's just universal. So I want to know, Chris, why is it that the Giants are going to be the Commanders' biggest threat to win the division?
What? No, you did not.
You know what? In a strange way, but Giants have done. All right, I think okay. I like what the Giants have done as far as getting drafting Jackson Dart, and then obviously having Russell Wilson. I keep on saying Westbrook. I want to say Westbrook. I don't know why I do that, but anyway, Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
I do like what they do, and obviously you have Tyrone Tracy Jr. I think he's still at the running back position. You just look at it. The offensive line is probably obviously the defensive line is always ready to play. Like, and a lot of people are looking at this week 1 matchup. That Commanders gonna cruise. No, the Commanders gonna have to pack their lunch. Probably two brown bag lunches to face this Giants team. This Giants team is still a legitimate team, and it's divisional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the Giants, I still think they are a team that puts a little fear in me for sure.
Mm.
Yeah, I think if Russ performs all right, that could be okay, right? Like, they have a good roster. They're kind of the opposite of what we were saying with the Commanders. Like, the Giants' defensive line and their pass rushers, I mean, Thibodeau, Burns, Sexy Dexy, Abdul Carter, like, they're kind of loaded up front.
Yeah.
I don't really think they're going to be the Commanders' biggest threat to the division. I just refuse to say the Eagles or Cowboys. And how else are we going to get some Giants love on the show other than that? So I agree. I think Giants are going to be better than we think. But just a serious question. Do you think it's the Commanders' division this year? Or you still feeling like it's the Eagles with the Commanders with a little more to prove?
I think it's the Commanders' divisional win. I mean, I understand people, and like you said, I'm with you. I hate the Eagles, especially after what happened January 26th.
Yeah,
I'm gonna hate them forever. So I definitely think they do have a legitimate shot. I mean, and I think Washington has a division, in my personal opinion. But it will be a dogfight. I don't think it's gonna be nothing easy. It's gonna be a dogfight though, for sure.
I look at it as you guys actually, people need to remember that you guys actually didn't play the Eagles that bad in that postseason game. It's just you kind of ran out of steam, right? So, yeah, you look at the scoreboard. I mean, Denver did the exact same thing in Buffalo. Denver didn't play bad that game. They just ran out of steam. The defense was on the field too much, and Denver couldn't make a big third down play. I kind of look at the same thing with how Washington played in Philly. You come off a huge emotional win on the road at Detroit. No one expected you to even come close to Detroit, and you go and you beat them. So, I mean, I honestly don't think it's far-fetched to think Washington could be the NFC East champions this year. I still think it's the Eagles, but I think the gap has definitely closed as far as that goes. Similar to what you were saying about the Broncos and Commanders being close. Like, yeah, Denver could win the AFC West this year. I'm not ready to say that quite yet, but I can confidently say that the gap is definitely smaller for the Broncos with the Chiefs, as well as the Commanders and the Eagles. And honestly, anyone watching this or thinking this shouldn't be surprised if either one of these teams wins the division, that being the Commanders winning the East and the Broncos winning the West. Cody, am I wrong in thinking that?
I think what I would say is very similar to like when we have discussions about like, are the Chiefs going to win the division or not win the division? It's like at this moment until otherwise. And I think this is where the AFC West and the NFC East are kind of different in this respect. If I'm not mistaken, the NFC East has not had a back-to-back divisional winner in something like 10 to 15 seasons or something like that. Like, it's always rotating between, at one point it's the Commanders, another point it's Dallas, so on and so forth. Whereas in the AFC West, it's one team will hold the spot for like 7 to 8 seasons, and then it rotates to another team and then another team. So there's not as much parity with it as the NFC East. But I think, and I'm not to say this to say that the Commanders haven't done a great job offensively and defensively. I actually think defensively, the Commanders are going to be more of a force to reckon with than they were last year. And I think a lot of it is to what you pointed out earlier, Chris. I just think until the Eagles are dethroned right now, because they are the Super Bowl champions, whether we like that or not, because I like that fact. I think the Eagles are probably going to be the favorite to win the East. Do I think the Commanders are the next best team? Yeah, I think they're like right there. If Philadelphia goes through some injury woes, maybe they go through a similar skid that they did last year offensively, where for some reason they just weren't clicking. I can see the Commanders taking a big leap forward because this coaching staff is still held together and you have a lot of main pieces coming back. And I always say, like, one thing that stops NFL teams from being successful is turnovers when it comes to coaches. If you want success year over year, you got to retain your coaches. You got to build that rapport. You got to build that relationship. I think you guys as the Commanders have a really good leg up on that. And I can see that winning the division. But I do think, to credit Corey's point earlier, is the gap between the Commanders and the Eagles is not as wide as people are assuming. But for me, I'm just going to say for today, I still like the Eagles in that division to win, but I think the Commanders are nipping on the heels. And I'm talking like, if the Eagles go 13-4, I wouldn't be surprised if Commanders go 13-4 or 12-5, just because they're right there neck and neck, in my opinion, with them this upcoming season. I feel like the gap is that small comparison to the teams.
I'm going to go out.
Go ahead, Matt.
I was gonna go out and say the same thing. Like, we talked to Deb Whitkus earlier on, a few months ago actually, and we all kind of said the same thing. Like, I think we all kind of collectively had the Eagles winning. The Commanders are like right there, and I do see you guys kind of splitting that series. But if there's any team in the NFC East that's going to go into Lincoln Financial and beat the Eagles on the road, it's going to be the Commanders, just because I like the talent they have. I like that they're a young team. I like that they have chemistry together. I like the coaching staff. And I think, again, just if there's a team in the East that's going to go into Philly and beat Philly, it's going to be the Commanders.
So let's talk real quick. Chris, how are you thinking the Commanders do in the West, in the AFC West? Like, let's do prediction time. What do you think they do against the Raiders, Chargers, Chiefs, and Broncos?
All right. So I guess I'll start in order. So obviously the matchup on September the 21st is Raiders will have 10 days off after going to Green Bay. So I definitely think we'll take care of that. I mean, come from the West Coast. So I think we can win that game. The Chargers in week 5 is really interesting because that's our second road game. Obviously, we'll have a game against Atlanta on the 28th in LA. It's going to be a really interesting game. I think potentially we might get our first loss of the season or second loss of the season on that game. Then we go to Chiefs Kingdom on week 8, which is actually on my birthday on October 27th.
Oh, right.
It's going to be eerily similar. I think it might be a matchup in 2017 when Patrick Mahomes was the red shirt and Alex Smith did us in that game. It's hard. That's going to be a tough environment. Went to that game in 2017. I couldn't even hear my thoughts. It was so loud. I think that could be a potential another loss potentially for this for us. And then to close out our AFC West, we got, like we mentioned earlier, it's the November 30th matchup. That is the Sunday after Thanksgiving. We're fresh off a bye coming from Spain. So I definitely think we'll take care of business in that game. And it'll be a dogfight. Obviously, like you said, it's a matchup between the two rookie quarterbacks. And then also it's going to be really interesting, obviously, with PS2 pretty much guarding Terry. So it's going to be really a dogfight for Terry to get something. So it'll be a game where you'll see like a committee. They may see like Debo doing his thing. Like we talked about Jalen Lane, Noah Brown, pretty much by a committee. So I think we'll probably at least go 2-2 against our apes.
I can see it.
I love the fact that we play the NFC East this year, just because, obviously Denver's getting hyped. Their coach is coming out saying things. And obviously we get the Chiefs-Eagles matchup. And honestly, I'm kind of looking forward to this Daniels-Mahomes matchup along with, Daniels and Herbert matchup. like, you guys have your quarterback. Like, you guys haven't had this in a really, really long time. So to come out and say there's some hype around you guys now, I mean, it's legit. And like, you guys were literally a game away from the Super Bowl last year. You could be in the exact same position this year, because I do think the Lions fall back a little bit with 2 new coordinators. Dan Campbell came out and even talked about it, like, hey, we look good in practice, but in the games, we're just not getting it done. Like, it doesn't look good. Not something you want to hear your coach say when you're supposed to be one of the better teams in the NFC. I do think it comes down to the Eagles and Commanders again in the NFC, guys. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, I see it as well. It's going to come down to the Eagles and Commanders. I just think they're the ones that are kind of like progressing. The Cowboys, again, yeah, the Cowboys are the Cowboys. I call them they are the Chargers of the NFC. They're gonna find a way to just implode. But I always look forward to playing the NFC East, just because I love watching the Broncos dominate the Cowboys.
Yeah.
But it is. I think Denver's 2 losses from the NFC East are going to come from the Eagles, and I can honestly see. I think if the roles were reversed, in which the Commanders were coming to Denver, I would confidently be able to say Denver is going to win that game. But with the hype that the Commanders have, the fan base has, the coaching staff has, going into Washington that late in the season, I feel like the momentum is going to be in your favor just because of that. So it's going to be a dogfight, but yeah, I got Denver going 2-2 in that division, and one of those losses is going to be from the Commanders.
Yeah, I think the Commanders, just going to put this out there now, I think they're going to just absolutely destroy the Chargers. I know you were saying that was going to be a tough one, but I got you guys by like at least 4 touchdowns. Just going to throw that out there right now. Like, it's going to
Are
be
the Chargers even going to show up according to you? Did they remember they have a game on this day?
Yeah, no.
That's a call to be determined.
Yeah, the Commanders are just going to, because it's kind of what you said, Matt. Chargers find a way to Charger, and I think they're going to do it real quick this year. They either start fast or choke, or they start slow and then kind of heat up and get you excited for the next season. That's just what the Chargers do. I think the Chiefs go 3-1 against the NFC East. Because it's the Chiefs' things to do, the actual loss is going to come to the Giants. We're going to get up for those actual good games, right? The Eagles, the Commanders will wake up for, and whether we like them or not, people still get excited to play the Cowboys. Just kind of the history there, right? Like, people, especially when you play them only once every 4 years or whatever, you get excited. The Chiefs are the team that'll come in and just kind of shit the bed against the Giants. So I think the Chiefs go 3-1 against the NFC East.
The Chiefs shit the bed against the Giants. Like, what are we doing? I mean,
it'd be a Chiefs thing to do, though, right? Like, look really good against those top teams.
To take the week off, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like, oh, it's just the Giants. We've taken care of everyone else, and then it's like, oh shit, Giants actually have like 7 really good pass rushers. We weren't prepared for this.
See, I think this is where sometimes the Chiefs, they're going to have a complacency that's going to screw them over, because if you need to take care of the games you need to take care of and you don't, then you're just shooting yourself in the foot, in my opinion. So that's why it's like, so the Giants is the one lonely loss because it'd be the Chiefs thing to do. It's like, but that'd be the team that you would win easily. Like, it's one thing to lose to the Commanders, let's say, going back and forth. That's a good team. I can see that. Giants, not to say that they're not going to be a better team, but to think that they're just all of a sudden going to beat the Chiefs that's kind of odd.
Yeah, I mean, it's no different than like Raiders just randomly beating the Chiefs. Like, it happens. Okay, bad teams win. It's NFL.
All right, if you say so, man.
You ruined my Christmas, Cody.
I didn't ruin nothing for you, buddy. Max Crosby did. That's the guy
true.
You're upset with.
That's true.
Well, hopefully Bo Nix ruins your Christmas this year. So,
I was going to say, you didn't even know him then.
Yeah. I don't even know you. What? I'm just kidding.
Right. Well, Chris, I mean, man, again, like I said, we truly appreciate you coming on. We'll definitely have to get you back on once the season starts, maybe get you in on some of these matchups once the AFC West comes on your schedule. You laid out the dates right there. We may have to get you on before that big Broncos game. in Washington, so Maddie and I can maybe talk a little crap. Hopefully by then they're both still in contention. But yeah, guys, do you have anything for Chris before we let him go?
Chris, it was an honor to chat with you, man. Like I said, kind of when we talked offline, kind of interacting with you over the course of some time on socials. Glad we got to talk in person. Hopefully we'll have you back when we review some Commanders matchups with the West, okay?
Yeah.
Chris, it was nice to actually put a face to the name because, I've only interacted with you on socials.
Yes, indeed.
So it was nice to meet you. I'm looking forward to the next time. Again, I want that matchup back. I want it back. And so there's 3 victories the Commanders have over the Broncos that were comeback wins, and that was the Super Bowl and then the Kyle Orton days and, again, Russell Wilson. I want them back. So.
Yes.
Yeah, man, it was good to have you on again. I always enjoy it.
Yes, indeed. Nice to meet you as well.
Yeah, it's good to have fellow Eagle haters on.
Yes, indeed. Appreciate it, fellas.
Yeah, so like a lot of people appreciate what the Eagles did to the Chiefs. I'm obviously not one of them. I've never liked the Eagles before that, but that kind of was like the nail in the coffin. So I appreciate when you're around and we get a chit chat and we get to just hate on the Eagles a little bit. That always makes me a little happier. So looking forward to having you back on this year. I don't really care what matchups are going on. I just really look forward to hating on the Eagles a little bit more.
All right, Chris, we'll see you next time, buddy. All right, guys. Well, it does bring up a couple good questions as far as the divisions go, right? Like we kind of said going into the season that the NFC East was going to be, maybe closest to the West. I mean, you can make a case for the North, but like I said, the Lions are kind of taking a step back.
Mm-hmm.
Cody, do you think the Raiders can get a dub in the East against anybody?
I think so. To be truthful, I actually want the Raiders to get a dub over the Cowboys more than anybody else in that division. We can go 1-3, but as long as the 1 is against the Cowboys, to me, it was a success. But competitively, I want to just make sure that depending on who we stack up against, the Giants, Commanders, even though we like to talk a bunch of mess on the Cowboys, they're a competitive football team for sure. Like, they don't look like they're worth a damn right now, considering how Jerry Jones runs them. But when football season starts, they're a competitive team. So what I love to make sure that my Raiders can at least keep up with them, because offensively, I want to make sure that we can hang with them. Defensively, I hope we're, a competitive defense that gives up a little bit, but doesn't sacrifice, too much. I'd love to. But again, if we could just beat the Cowboys, to me, that'd be a success. Just because I don't want to hear from Cowboys that they beat my Raiders. I don't want to hear that.
Two of the more annoying fan bases too, by the way, if I do say so myself.
One of the coldest photos I've ever saw was, I think the Raiders, I think this was on Thanksgiving Day. And I think this is when the Cowboys were 1 in their division at the time. I can't remember what year. I want to say it's 2021. And there's a trick play that the Raiders did, and Derek Carr goes out to play receiver, and he calls over Trayvon Diggs to line up with him, because it's obviously not going to Derek Carr, but he just wanted Diggs to line up with him. And it was a cold photo because you see him freeze frame with him calling him over and him lining up against him. And it was a pretty fun photo considering that the Raiders did win that game too.
So let's talk about the elephant in the room, boys. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Matt, you sure you're ready for this?
Go for it.
Big news today, everyone. Huge news. I mean, I think you may have heard of the royal wedding that's going to be partaking here in the next couple of years. Mr. Travis Swift. Travis Swift, who is now engaged to Taylor Swift.
Congratulations.
Before I get your guys' see, that's kind of what I was. Before we get into any of this, I do want to say I love this for the simple fact that I know it bothers some people, and I'm here for this because, in a sense, yeah, we want to watch football. We want to do this.
We love, Matt.
Are we really going to be upset that Travis Kelce gets to date probably the biggest known name in the world? I will say this, and I want this on record. This show will always welcome Swifties.
Yes.
Swifties, you're always welcome here. I'm not going to hate the dude for finding a sugar mama. I'm really not. Like, honestly, dude, like, who has it worse in their life than Travis?
I know. I feel so sorry for that guy.
I mean,
how would you feel to be Jason?
I mean, that's going to be the best bachelor party in the world.
It is going to be the wildest party.
It is going to be absolutely crazy. But I do love it just for the simple fact that just reading through social media stuff today, obviously it's split, right? Like some people, some people, others, I don't want to see her on my TV. Like, come on, man. Like, is it really affecting your life that much?
Right.
Are we really going to sit here and say, Cody, I think you have some thoughts on this?
No, I'll let Cody go before I go.
Come on, Cody.
Well, first off, I'm a Swiftie. So my daughter loves Swiftie. My wife loves Taylor. So we listen to Taylor in the house all the time. If anything, when it's time to clean, we put on the Arrows movie. We watch it. I've seen it maybe a million times. I'm a Swiftie, and I enjoy Swiftie Swiftie music, even when I'm listening to a playlist or whatever. I love the fact that Taylor is in football. I think it's fun. I'm not the old head that's like, keep the women out of my sports. I encourage women to be into sports, be knowledgeable of it, because I hope it encourages guys and dads and whoever to also be interested in what the women of their life are interested in. So I hope it's like an avenue to like understand one another. So I actually think it's really cool because when I connect with my youngest, when it comes to Taylor Swift, she'll be willing to watch football with me. And so I liked having that bonding time where she may not love football like I do, but she'll sit on the couch and watch it with me and she knows what's going on, or baseball, because she knows I'm also into baseball as well. And I'll do the same. Whatever she's into when it comes to Taylor and my wife, I'll be more than happy to sit down. And I'm welcoming that audience. I think it's really cool that they can come in, and I hope that a majority of the football fans open them with open arms and welcome them. And don't worry about how they discovered it. The fact that we can all coexist is okay. So for those that don't like Taylor, that's fine. But don't also be a shithead about crapping on their relationship. Okay. You can just keep your thoughts to yourself if you're not into that, you know?
Yeah. And I think you were spot on with that. Like, A, is it really affecting you that much? Like, and then B, I think you were spot on. It's bringing a whole nother like demographic to football, right? Like, yeah, they're getting interested because of Taylor Swift, but like, just break it down. They're getting interested, right? Mm-hmm. For another reason they wouldn't be. So I think it's huge. I think this is more than just Travis and Taylor getting married. It's bringing a whole new demographic to football. It's changing what these little girls might want to do with their lives, right? Mm-hmm. It's like opening up a brand new door, like learning football, learning sports, something they're interested in. So, yeah, and I'm not even a Swiftie, right? Like, I don't hate her, but I've never just like listened to her music either. But I have no issues with her getting all the camera time that she does. Mm-hmm. I loved when she was on the New Heights podcast. You got to see a side of her that was really awesome.
Yep.
So I'd say I'm a fan of her more than I am her music. But like, really, is it that big of a deal that she's in the game and in the sports? I think it's doing more good than anything. Mm-hmm. So like you said, let's not be negative and just be that old head, because there's more good coming from it than anything, or at least there should be more good coming from it if you just let it.
Yeah. Maddie?
Yeah, same thing. I know I talk a lot of shit here and there, but you know, I was never a fan of Taylor Swift when she was a country singer. I still not a fan of her now, but that doesn't mean like I don't welcome Swifties to football games. You know, I even made a post, like, was just like on my Facebook a while ago when she first started getting camera, like, hey, Swifties are always welcome. Come sit down at the bar with me. I'll learn you something. You know, I'll teach you a thing or two about the game. I'm fine with that. Again, like the NFL wants its outreach. This is a good way to do it, because now you're kind of welcoming a new crowd into football, and it's, you know, some of them end up actually enjoying, like they watch the games and they actually end up enjoying watching football. Like, wow, I can't believe I've never really paid attention to this. So I was like, again, her screen time doesn't affect the play. It's if the Broncos lose a game, it wasn't because of Taylor Swift. It's because Sean keeps running these little bubble screens when we're down by 20 points, and he thinks like maybe this bubble screen will work. So that's not Taylor's fault. That's Sean's fault. You know, so I don't care that she's on the screen. I don't care that about like I wish them nothing but the best. Their relationship doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother anyone else. It's not affecting you. It's not gonna raise or lower your taxes whether or not they're together. So, at the end of the day, hey, best of luck to them. I still won't be a fan. I'm a fan of the products. I use it to clean the house. I'm talking about the Swiffer. So if you say Swifty, that's what I'm talking about. The house cleaning products.
I want the Swifties to come be some Westy Besties. Like,
yeah,
get the Swifties and some Westy Bestie merch.
So that it's funny you said that, Matt, that you don't think it was Taylor winning the game or losing the game, however you want to, whatever your point of view was. I've already seen some conspiracy theories that said, oh, now we know how this season's going to go. Might as well start fitting Chiefs for their Super Bowl ring. So it's crazy you say that because people are already spinning their wheels of like, oh, this is a setup. Get smashed in your chance for a three-peat. Travis and Taylor get married, and now you guys go on and win the Super Bowl happily ever after. So I'm just saying it's crazy you say that.
I'm going to bully Matt.
Find another reason for the teardrops in your guitar, all right? But she's not going to be one of them.
Hey.
Yeah. Swifty.
There it is.
Right off the old noggin.
I'm going to send you the most fire Taylor Swift playlist now, just so you're aware.
I'm going to mark you as spam.
No, you
blocked.
You can't do that. You can't.
I'm going to block you.
No. But again, in all all jokes aside, it is good for the game. I don't have kids, but I have friends who have daughters, right? And it's actually kind of fun to see them, get their kids involved in it. And it's because literally one person who's able to use her platform, use her voice the correct way. It's been a wild 2 years that they've been, together. I know he sent the joke or the text earlier about it, and you guys were kind of joking about it, and it was kind of funny. And then I was like, oh, we're absolutely going to throw this on the show tonight. So
yeah, I called him out a couple names. I don't apologize, but I kind of do at the same time. Shout out Meg. I called him a twat and a wanker.
Yeah, it's all good.
Meg, come get your boy.
Seriously, he's been running wild recently.
He needs some tea time, okay?
He's getting crazy over here. So,
who doesn't love? Okay, who cares?
well,
Yeah.
Take him to get some tea.
I do want to say a little bit more about the whole Taylor thing. And for those that watched the New Heights podcast, where she was actually talking about how she learned defenses and learned how to learn the game of football. I also just want to commend, she doesn't have to learn any of that. Literally a megastar, she has more important things to do than learn the game of football. And yet she learned it to the point where she's far more advanced than a lot of the guys that I even talk football with that don't know that much about football. And I think to just point out, you can support one another even if you're not in the same thing. And I think what some people get upset with is the guy is not the more superior earner or popular person, because overwhelmingly Taylor is more popular in this relationship. Us as football fans just know who Travis is. And I love seeing the jokes where it's how much allowance do you think Taylor gives Travis every week? Because she literally could almost buy the Chiefs if she wanted to, or at least pay off the Chiefs payroll because she makes that much. But I think those that are wishing upon them to not succeed or advance in their life, that's also come on, guys, look in the mirror about this. Does not matter in the scope of things. They're just people that had a connection, and they just so happen to be people that are on TV. It's not that deep. You can support them or just, ignore them. You can also do that.
Yeah, when she was so excited when the Chiefs drafted Xavier Worthy, I thought that was pretty awesome, right? She hasn't only learned a little bit about football. She's known enough to be excited about drafting this college dude. So I think you were spot on. She doesn't have to do it, but she's supporting Travis. He does the same thing, right? He always travels all over, goes to her concerts right there with her. So, yeah, I think, it doesn't affect football. You can live with the 42 seconds of TV time she gets during a game. It's not during action, right? You're just missing them in a circle, yelling
right.
at them. Because I agree. If it was excessive and I was missing exciting play after exciting play because we needed the play-by-play of Taylor Swift, it'd be different. But we're not missing any football time, right? They're just showing an exciting, significant other for her dude. So
yeah,
I do. It's good. It's good for football. Honestly, it's good for people to see it. It's good for young girls, daughters, families. It's just good all the way around. If you just let it,
it's good to see a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
It's good to witness that. There's nothing wrong with that.
All right, boys. We do have another busy week. So we talked tonight with Chris, Couch Coach Live, talk some little Commanders, the NFC East. Tomorrow, Cody, we finally get a Raider.
We finally get one, boys. I'm excited.
Tomorrow night.
Only one.
Hey. One of many to come.
That's exactly.
He's going to be the first one and then many to follow.
I mean, at the rate we're going, it's going to be like December, January before we get another one.
Yeah,
I feel like we've been an exclusively Chiefs podcast. So yes, we need to turn this around.
Well,
we need to get some more.
We've had 2 Broncos.
Yeah, Matt Prater.
That's true. That's true. Legend. We've had a good legend.
And again,
legend Carl Pickens.
So tomorrow night, live in the War Room, David Amerson, former Raider and Commander, Redskin.
Yeah.
Funny enough, that kind of matches up pretty well. And then Friday, we have a very special episode. Carl Pickens will be joining us. He is our first repeat guest of the War Room. His request, he wanted to come back on. We have, and we're not gonna tell you guys too much, but he has things that he wanted to talk about as far as today's game. So once he told us that, we were like, yeah, anytime you ever want to come on the show, you tell us and we will make time for you.
Yeah, like who are we to tell you no?
So
yeah, right.
So excited for the next two guests. David Amerson tomorrow night, Carl Pickens Friday. Next week we got another solid lineup coming in. So guys,
we're booked for September already, guys. If you just a little glimpse of what we have planned, we are officially booked up 100% of the dates we do podcast in September.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say we're probably about a quarter of the way full of October. We won't get to specifics with the guests and everything, but like we have things lining up, bigger things to come. In the midst of all that, football season is officially here, like real football games. You have that going for us too. So big things are lining up. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Swifties, come on.
Yeah.
Bring him in.
Yeah.
Kenny Clark, what's up?
Kenny.
So I know we said we weren't going to get too much into it, but let's treat this as like an exclusive. So those of you that are watching right now, let's go ahead and knock some September guests out for you. So we have a good friend of ours, Joel, Avery, and Will from the 3 Guys, 6 Balls podcast that are going to join us. That's the first week of September. Alex Sims is another person who is going to be coming on in September. We're doing a special fan giveaway in between games on Sunday, the first week of football. So you're going to have football all day. Then you get to come join us for like 30 minutes to an hour. We're going to do a fan giveaway for our 100 subs. So come win a prize. We don't know who's going to win it. Come find out because you got to sub. You got to be live here with us. Carell Buckhalter is also going to be a guest in September. Colts Brigade. We're going to preview some Colts football. We're going to give his thoughts on some Danny Dimes. Danny Dimes. So we're going to do that. And then John Abraham. So we're going to have John Abraham on with us on the 12th. So that's another Friday episode. John Abraham, Eric Coleman, who was on with us last week, name dropped John Abraham a few times as being one of his favorite teammates.
Mm-hmm.
Abraham's going to be joining the War Room. Then we have Chris Hoven, defensive lineman, a very good defensive lineman in his own rights. He also contacted us and asked us if he could come on. Of course, guys, we're going to let you come on if you reach out to us. So I think that one's actually going to be a really, really good show.
It'll be a powerful one.
It's going to be a powerful show. We're not going to dive into it, but just know that that has a chance to be one of our better ones with Chris. And then Brianna Sports. She's an up-and-coming sports content creator or sports reporter. She's going to be coming on with us in September. Taylor Arnez. And then the big one at the end of September.
Our boy.
Big one. Blaine Bishop. Blaine Bishop will be joining us in the War Room September 30th. And I believe, well, no, he was an October one, so we won't get into that one.
Well, I was going to say our lineup for Raiders week for the Chiefs Raiders week in October. We got some things planned for that one. So
yeah, we do.
I know, Cody, you're a Raiders guy, but man, if you don't like the Raiders, you do not want to miss that week. That's going to be fun. We have some good things planned. But that just shows what we're doing behind the scenes, right? We're already working into things into September and beyond, into October and beyond. So you just definitely don't want to miss out. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube, follow the socials. We get that next milestone, we're going to do another fan giveaway. So come help boost those numbers. Put our name out there. Subscribe yourself. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Tell your coworkers. Tell your local barista. Have them all do it, right?
And I would say we're going to have some posts that are going to go up on socials of how to sign up for the fan giveaway. Obviously, number one is going to be you got to be subscribed to the show. You got to be subscribed to the War Room. But with that being said, we're going to get out of here because, again, like I said, busy week coming up, and we need to get rest. Matt needs his beauty sleep. Cody has to go hope for some more Raider wins this season. Everybody else tuned in tonight. Guys, in the comments, you guys rocked it tonight.
Always.
Keep it up. Keep it coming because, again, like I said, September is just getting started. So we are going to kick it off tomorrow night with David Amerson live in the War Room, 7 o'clock Central, 5 Pacific. We'll see you guys then.